This video is rated B+.
Hey, how we going? My name's Nick, and I'm joined by Geordie.
Hey.
There he is. So we're doing a podcast. This is the unofficial/official B+ Players Facebook group, wrestling group, wrestling fans, whatever you want to call us. Podcast where we're going to be talking about everything wrestling, maybe delve into UFC or whatever later on down the track. This is a pilot episode, you could say, episode 1, recorded off a great phone because, we weren't 100% prepared as we wanted to be.
We weren't prepared. We said we would be, but we're not. That's a typical upper mid-carder thing to do, but, it is what it is.
Upper mid-card, that's so good.
Basically, dudes, all we're pretty much doing in this original few episodes. Hopefully, this is the first and only time we're going to be unprepared. But
yeah,
pretty much, we're just going to be talking about a few topics regarding the business right now, leading into WrestleMania. It is Mania season. They are pushing the product pretty heavily in every aspect in terms of advertising, what's going on the shows, on the network, and look, we have had many people in our group sort of throw us questions that they did want us to discuss, run a couple of polls to see people's opinions on certain matters regarding Mania, and it's just been pretty interesting, the feedback that we've gotten. I know that Nick's made a few notes, so that's good, because...
Yeah, I watched Raw today. I took about 3.5 pages of notes, but I think before we start delving into Raw, we should probably talk about the B+ Players group, because you brought me into that.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think there was only like 40 or so people in the group, so it wasn't overly big. It was just a bunch of...
Well, shout out to the boys, first of all.
There we go.
George, Wayne, and Steve for basically taking me in as an admin, because when I became an admin, it was around, I'm going to say, the 110 mark, just cracking 100 B+ players, I guess you'd say. And then since I joined, I've seen, almost 100 people join, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. And I've only been an admin for just a little over a month, and shout out to Leah as well. She's brought a lot of people with her too since we made her an admin. So it's been very good and good growth. We're hoping to get to 500 members by the end of this year, which would be fantastic. I think it's great growth. Ideally, we want to be in the 1,000 mark, but we have often said quality over quantity. And we don't want trolls. That is the last thing that we want in the group. We want people who purely just want to talk about wrestling, MMA, what's going on in the business. We enjoy the occasional troll. Don't get me wrong. We're not idiots. We're not going to fucking be pricks about it. But it's one of those things that we don't want to see every post being a troll. We want to talk about wrestling as open as possible and not be judged because we are wrestling fans.
Exactly right.
There is this stigma with. Oh, I can't believe you watch that shit, it's fake. But you know what, man? So is the fucking Walking Dead, but you still watch that shit and you love it, so fuck you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're not like a big group of like wrestling elitists. Like, I'd say we are the hardcore fans, I guess, like massive wrestling marks. We talk about other podcasts and stuff in the group. Like myself personally with podcast stuff, I love like the... What Culture guys, the guys at OSW do a fantastic job. Botchamania is not really a podcast, but Matthew's kind of big in the whole wrestling thing. Speaking of which, he did get a shout out on Raw today. Yeah, Ziggler gave him a shout out,
wow,
which was phenomenal. I'm sure his Twitter exploded when that happened.
I will be honest, I didn't watch Raw. I was at work today. I will watch it tonight, but I did see the highlights and I did like a few things from it. But that is actually really surprising that happened. So.
It was pretty legit, and they had a couple of other things happen through with Raw, but I think we are going to get to Raw. But we also have our Twitter stuff and our social media stuff that you can find us all on. So we've got the B+ Players Twitter account. What's the handle for that one? That's just
at the B+ Players.
There we go.
No symbolism. It's just all lettering. So that's we'll share the link when we share the podcast. So
yeah, we'll throw that down.
We've got an Instagram which Leah's taken care of, which is great. We've got a YouTube channel which is starting as well, but we will link you to all of this stuff. That pretty much every way of contacting us, we will link that in the description box when we do run this podcast eventually. But yeah, thanks for tuning in first and foremost, and I guess we should just get down to it, really.
Yeah, we'll get straight into Raw. So,
I'm going to let you shoot this, Nick.
Yeah, I'll just...
as I said, I haven't seen it yet. I've just I've read a few things about it,
Yep.
so I do know what's happened. I read that Harper could be injured.
Yeah.
Which I'm not... I didn't see it, but I saw him sitting on the ground holding his leg. I also heard that a fucking fan attacked Braun Strowman.
Yeah, there was a lot of shenanigans that happened tonight, and it was quite an interesting Raw. Like, so we'll just run down it. So it basically opened up with Reigns versus Triple H, that massive brawl that happened last week as the recap.
Fucking recap.
And immediately I made the note of saying that, does WWE just write their product for vignettes for people who only watch the pay-per-views on the network? Because these vignettes are phenomenal. Whoever writes them or whoever puts them together does a really, really good job. I think that if that's creative need to be focusing more on like making the vignettes, but an expanded version across all of the Raws.
Man, they have no problem hyping shit.
They don't
hyping an event, but it could be look at fucking Roadblock, man. Look at the hype that went into Roadblock. And we all knew it was just a glorified house show, but it was a fucking well hyped event.
And it was so lackluster too.
It was terrible. It fell so short of everyone's expectation.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I said to you, especially you know this, I told you, if you had high expectations going into the show, you definitely would have been disappointed.
Exactly.
But if you were like me and you had low expectations, you definitely were not disappointed with the quality of the wrestling, but the storyline wise, it advanced absolutely nobody.
No,
so
nothing
that's
happened
what
after
sucked
Roadblock.
about it.
So then, after that whole vignette thing, Michael doing the whole "Welcome to Monday Night," at Philly, crowd was just raucous to start off with. The crowd was so loud, but to me personally, throughout the whole show, and I did make notes of it as I went through, they seemed very lackluster. Like, there was no the classic CM Punk chant. There was no
I'm as much as we are marks for CM Punk, and I'm a fucking big mark for CM Punk.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over that chant. I mean, I think that the fans have to move on beyond CM Punk. It's kind of like, everyone would love to see him back. It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen.
It's just like that. They tend to hijack the show, which was crazy to me, because I was actually going to make a question on it on the group, saying that, like, how I made the post about Roman's going to get eaten alive, they're going to boo him out of the building kind of deal. That I was half expecting, like, we hate Roman, we want Cena chance to start. Like, that's how bad I thought it was going to get. But surprisingly, they were booing the right people, booing the wrong people, and cheering the wrong people. But they didn't seem as crazy as they usually are. But opening show they did, and Steph comes down to open the show, and she was legit dancing and singing along to a theme, which is great. You don't see that enough in wrestling, I don't think, where they enjoy their intros, because they choose the songs most of the time. It's not often the song is chosen for them.
We had lunch the other day, man, and I told you that I thought Steph is the best heel in the company.
Absolutely.
Like, I think she's gone beyond her dad. I think Vince, 10, 15 years ago, Vince is easily the best heel the company's ever seen.
Agreed.
As a modern day for a PG heel, you cannot go past Stephanie. It's not just what she says, it's the way she fucking looks at the superstars that she's interacting with. She just pierces them like, you are a fucking piece of shit, and I hate you. And that's the look that she gives, and it's like, man, she's a bitch, but I love it.
Yeah, I know, exactly right.
And she's hot as hell still. She's like, 40s now. She's still hot as hell.
Yeah, she was wearing a nice black dress with like this yellow necklace thing, and it just drew attention to her boobs. And you're like, they've just like, come on, stop. But so she cuts a cheap heat gathering promo. To surprisingly really good effect. Like, even though she was just blatantly like, oh, you guys are all have no motivation and rah, just like Roman Reigns, and I was like, that's so cheap heat. Yeah. But they were eating it up. Like, they live off her words, which is great. And then all of a sudden the Shield's whole intro music hits. It's Roman, and the boos immediately, they're just like vicious. And
the thing I found interesting is that when they had the Rumble it was Philly, right? They had the Rumble in Philly.
Rumble was in Philly,
Roman went over, and then they fucking shat on it when The Rock endorsed him.
That was 2 years ago.
They shat on it, right? Then he won the world title on Raw against Sheamus.
Philly.
And they came around. They loved him. So they won the crowd back. But to come out again, 6 months later,
Yeah, about
Five,
that.
6 months later, he's coming out and he's getting, like, as I said, I didn't watch it,
Mm.
okay, so I didn't see the intro, so I didn't hear these opening boos. I watched the highlights on the network, whatever. But to say that he got shat on, like, that's so damaging to his character. It's like, how can you go from being shat on, fair enough, you're being forced down our throat, we don't want to see you, to winning the fans over, to them being shat on again by the same fans. It's
and
like,
that's all
dude,
due to the inconsistent booking
Yeah.
that we've spoken about and that everyone seems to talk about with wrestling this day and age. And you could tell definitely that they had, like, the audio for it had been tampered with quite heavily to lower it, because it was, even like then, it wasn't, you could still, it was at the point where you could hear it, but you knew that it was actually, like, just so bad. And then so he had the normal entrance through the ramp again. I think they're cancelling the whole thing, or it may just be because the next couple of cities that they're playing in, or that they're doing the show in, like, are so against him, they're worried something may happen.
I think it's coinciding well with that. Like, it's kind of like, they went from Chicago, they kept him off TV. They've gone to Philly. They've got a couple of they've got more rough crowds coming. Like, they had Pittsburgh. They've gone to Philly.
Yep.
So they've got the rough crowds that they know they're going to get a lot of heat for him from. But I actually think when you actually boil it right down, it just comes down to a safety issue, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that there's, they've probably gone 2-3 years where nothing's happened, but I think something will inevitably happen if he keeps using that fan coming down through the fans. And, they don't want to see that on live TV.
No.
Like, Monday Night Raw's live. You don't want some crazy fan to fucking pop him in the head and just be like, shit, our top babyface just got smacked in the head by a fan. And you even seen, like, over the last 18 months, how many fans have jumped the barricade and come into the ring and imagine for Roman when he's not protected walking down to the ring. Personally, I don't really give a fuck what happens. I think it's great, to be honest, but I think it was time to lose the fan.
Yeah,
anyway.
like, just on that as well, like, with Punk, with fans interfering, like, there was that incident with Punk where he'd won the title, he was escaping up I think it was actually in Philly when his whole contract thing ended with Cena. And he was running up and out of the crowd, and he was holding the titles before he left, and it was like to close the show, and apparently a fan bopped him on the back of the head. He turns around and gets the wrong fan, like, busts his nose, breaks his glasses and everything.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was a bit of a thing. I actually saw it recently. I think it was actually on a video I watched, and they were talking about it. But anyway, moving on. He interrupts Steph, and he puts the whole hand on the mic and tells her to shush. And because his hands on the mic, you can't hear her properly say it, but you hear her just scream out, like, "Don't shush me!" And I thought that was just such a good heel move by Steph. Like, she's like, "Don't you dare shush me." He tries for a cheap cheering, trying to gather a bit of, like, I'm in Philly, the people in Philly, rah rah rah, Philly, 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 and they still booed him, which I was just laughing at. But it actually, to be honest, it wasn't a bad promo. His minimal words. He did the whole, I'm going to come into your ring, as you call it, in your stadium at your WrestleMania. I'm going to be your husband and walk away with my title. And I just went,
effective.
Wow, that's exactly what he needed to be. So whoever, the creative are so hit and miss with him that this is what he needs to be. He needs to be the short, sharp, to the point kind of guy. Kick your ass, leave.
I just think that for a large part of his career as a singles competitor after the Shield broke up, I think you'll find that it was Vince writing his promos, and I think that's why he's so damaged. And if it's not Vince writing him anymore, I fucking hope it's not Vince writing him. Maybe they should get Heyman to write his promos, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh, yeah.
But if whoever's written what he said today, as I said to you, I didn't watch Raw live. I did watch the replay. I saw what he said. I heard it. I saw her take a swing at him. I thought that it was really, really well done. I thought that Roman came off looking really good in that promo, and hats off to them. They got me actually interested in the main event, which is great. So
yeah, that's right.
That's definitely good for the time being.
Then we had the most surprising thing. I didn't even see it advertised. AJ versus KO, two of our boys. I've got here written down in capital letters, "Fuck yes," with the 2 exclamation points. Awesome. I'll just save that. Ugh.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Thanks. I only want one.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Oh, good. Alright, so we had... Next up was AJ versus Kevin Owens, which is fucking amazing in every way, shape or form, because it was always destined to be a great match. Now, I hadn't been watching live Raws for the last couple of weeks. I've been mainly catching up on highlights through news articles and stuff like that in the network. so this was my first time in a while, actually, in recent memory, watching live Raw. And so I wasn't actually aware of the whole Jericho Styles thing was still a thing. Like, I knew it was still a thing, but I didn't know to what extent. And as soon as they were hyping it, like, they were talking about AJ and Jericho over and over and over. And I was immediately thinking to myself, can we just be done with the Jericho Styles thing? I want to see KO versus AJ at Mania. I think that's the match that everyone would prefer. Even though, for some reason, the Intercontinental title has basically replaced the Money in the Bank match at Mania. It always tends to be ladder matches, multiple fatal four-ways, triple threats, all that. There's very rarely a one-on-one because it's not hyped as much as a mid-card belt.
I just thought that if you're gonna push one of the mid-card titles, like Cena did amazingly with the US title. He made it relevant again.
Agreed.
Right? But then you give it to Del Rio, and then
shit on it.
It just, because it did the hot potato thing between him and Kalisto, it just shat all over the credibility of that title.
Yeah.
And now it's fucking Ryback versus Kalisto in a singles match at Mania. Who the fuck wants to see Ryback versus Kalisto? Nobody wants to see Ryback. Fuck that, man. I don't want to see that shit. So, the thing that I hated is that you could ask 90% of wrestling fans, what would you rather see, Ryback versus Kalisto, or Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles, or even Kevin Owens versus fucking Sami Zayn, which is the story.
Yeah.
Like, that's the story. They've had that going from NXT all the way to the... It's transitioned to the Rumble, to the main roster.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, you've got the two guys on Raw. Why are you doing a multiple-man match? Especially after Neville's gone down injured, because I would have understood the fatal four-way angle that they went with Zayn, Owens, Neville, Miz. They teased it last week.
Yeah.
Neville got injured. Devastated.
Had to rewrite the
Shout out to
whole
Neville.
thing.
That's fucking devastating. 3 weeks after
sucks.
Mania. But the worst part is, it's like, okay, we're not going to get a fatal four-way. So what do? Throw fucking Zack Ryder in an Intercontinental title match?
But how good is it?
Stardust and fucking Sin Cara in a title match? Don't even get me started, man. And you know what? I'm not disappointed that we're seeing Jericho versus AJ at Mania, because the way that I see it is, it's AJ's first Mania. Yeah, I was over the feud. Everyone's over the feud. They've seen him wrestle 3 times already. Who wants to see a fourth? Not me.
No.
But if I know that AJ's going over because he's fighting Jericho, hell, it's his first Mania. If AJ's going to win against Jericho and kickstart his singles career, great. If it's going to lead to Owens versus AJ down the track, even better. If I know that, let's have a look at the Intercontinental title match now. It's Owens, it's Zayn, it's Stardust, Ziggler,
Miz,
Sin Cara.
Yeah.
There's one other guy I'm forgetting, surely. I'm
Um,
pretty sure it's
Sami
7
Zayn.
people. Did I say Sami?
No.
I don't know.
Give me a sec.
It's 7 people.
Yeah.
The other one is obviously not fucking relevant.
Yeah.
So, maybe he is.
You're going to be really mad at that Sami Zayn.
I really hope it's someone not relevant. But at the end of the day, the way that I'm looking at it is, Owens got to be the favourite in that match, surely.
Yeah, but see, my concern is that I don't think Owens can really afford a loss, because
I agree.
Everyone he's been facing so far, he's won through debauchery, which is basically his character.
That's a heel thing to do. I'm not upset about that.
They have changed his character slightly from when he debuted, because when he debuted, he was that no-nonsense kind of, basically the Roman Reigns character we want, but as a heel. That's kind of what he was, except he had he had the charisma to go with it. He had the quips that you could pull with it.
Yeah.
But now he's like and I made a note of it, which we'll get to in a sec, was how he kind of switched roles a little bit to the whiny, like almost Seth Rollins-y kind of champ, where he was like at the authority, like "Mummy, Daddy, protect me." But I did make a note as well.
See, I didn't see that, so that's going to do my head in if I see that, and because I don't like that.
It made me sad.
I don't care if he's a cowardly champion and he cheats to win. That's a heel thing.
That's a heel thing. Yeah.
But if he's running to Steph saying, "Oh, Steph, can you make this go away?" That's fucking bullshit. That's not a KO thing to do. Like, he's just got to be a badass that takes no prisoners and fucking eats your baby. Like, that's what I want Kevin Owens to be.
Yeah, he needs to be a monster.
You know?
But so I also made a note here that JBL apparently that I've picked up has called every Intercontinental Champion since he started commentary has basically been said every Intercontinental Champion has been the greatest ever champion, or he's made a reference to them being the greatest. And I was like, great commentary. And then he goes on to say AJ's hair looks like a poodle, and I just wrote down, what the fuck is this commentary? Like, this commentary team needs to change. He's
burying him.
Yeah, please no.
It's the thing. It goes back to guys like Daniel Bryan, where Vince would come out and call him short and stuff. Like, you're not
helping them.
You're not helping them at all. You're putting them down in a bad way. Like, villains or heels are meant to lie. They're meant to be manipulative. They're not meant to say the truth because he is little.
Yeah, exactly.
He is little. He does have a beard. AJ does have a mop haircut. You don't draw attention to that. You're meant to lie to put them down.
Yeah.
That's the heel thing to do.
Exactly
If you're telling the truth and people are like, oh yeah, he really does have a mop. What the fuck's that about? Yeah, you're just burying his character before he can even get big.
Yeah.
And it's like,
stop.
don't draw attention to that. Even on SmackDown last week, KO says to Renee Young and AJ in the backstage interview, you guys have the same haircut.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's great because I love KO, so I'm going to fucking laugh at it. But it's not funny because you're burying AJ. You're burying him by saying that.
Like, as a heel thing, that was cool, but like on commentary to make such a like, and he did repeat it quite often too. And Brian Saxton even pulled him up on it. Was like, what? Why? Stop! Like, you know. And then so my next point here is
let's not give any credit to Brian Saxton because he's a piece of shit.
He is terrible as well.
He's probably the worst announcer I've heard in a very long time.
KO hits this beautiful clothesline that and AJ sells it as a whole inside out thing. And he does AJ's phenomenal pose and says, "I'm phenomenal, baby." And I was just like, "Oh, Kevin, you are so good in ring." So something else also picked up, and shout out to one of my old favourites, Steve Blackman here. I've written down that AJ's quick offense, where he does those quick strikes, has the same issues that Steve Blackman had when he used to do them on his opponents, where his opponents actually aren't quick enough to keep up with like taking each blow. So it just looks like they kind of stand there and like pretend to be dazed as they're getting hit like 6 or 7 times before the big raucous blow that comes in at the end.
I always found with guys who were legit fighters like Blackman, even like maybe to a lesser extent like Ken Shamrock. But I remember WCW days they had Tank Abbott who was a UFC fighter or an MMA fighter, and they came to pro wrestling, which is it's fake. Well, okay, whatever. Predetermined, fake. You can call it what you want. Whatever. We love it still. But
entertainment.
Austin has often said on his podcast, like, you have to know how to sell a punch. You have to know how to throw a punch, and like you have to know how to sell that kind of offense too. Because if AJ's that quick, you have to be able to keep up with it. If you're going to go with him, and like I didn't see the Raw match. Okay, I only saw the highlights of it. I saw their SmackDown match, which I thought was incredible. I loved it. And he used that same front forehand and then backhand offense, and it was incredible. And Owens did sell it well. So I guess there's going to be timing issues with that here and there. But you've got to keep up. Like you got to keep up with that. And if he's not doing that, then that sucks. But I'm sure it'll get better. Yeah,
and then so from there, KO hits an inverted F5 into an RKO. It was the weirdest looking move, and
I know this move. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He had him upside down. He goes to flip him to an F5, but as he does, he kind of turns it into an RKO, and it looks brilliant.
It's kind of like a torture rack, and then he swings him out into a neck breaker.
Yeah,
where it's like a reverse RKO kind of.
Absolutely beautiful. And then, what have I got here? AJ then goes for almost like a roll up pin. After kicking out from that move, and he actually has a hand on Kevin Owens' face, and I was like, oh, that's a bit heelish. Like, I don't know if that was just poor placement or whatever, but I was like, slightly heelish, but I don't think they're going here with him anytime soon. And then Kevin Owens hits a friggin' frog splash.
Wow.
Oh my god, and it was like Eddie Guerrero level frogs. It was beautiful. He gets the full crouch, the full extension.
Yeah, he's got to hit that moonsault more often. You know, he does that twist moonsault, how he's standing facing forward, and then he does a quick jump twist and then bounces off and does like a moonsault. It's kind of hard to explain. When you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. He does it, and he often eats the mat. Like, he's got to hit that more often because I love that move so much.
And Kevin Owens is a high flyer. Like, there was the days where, and as we spoke about at that lunch, when like Kurt Angle was actually an original high flyer wrestler before Vince got a hold of him and went, "You are now a ground mat monster," and he stopped doing that. Exactly. But so they've kind of gotten... so they've been more lenient with Kevin Owens, allowing a bigger guy to run around and do all this high-flying offense because you don't expect
Kevin
that.
Owens
it's brilliant.
Make a great babyface when he inevitably turns.
Yeah.
But it's, in fairness, and I do often say is heels should not be doing that kind of offense. That's why it's very hard.
Too flashy.
It's very hard to sell the New Day as heels because even when they're heels, like, you ain't gonna keep Kofi on the ground.
No,
you can't. Like, half his offense is the air, and that's that's where you kind of say, I don't want to boo these guys, man. He's doing fucking awesome moves. I don't
Exactly.
want to do that.
Then I've got, there was a terrible camera cut mid match right on the, there was the guy up on the apron filming into the ring, close up of AJ's face as he's calling a spot on the ground when they're both laying on the ground. It was terrible.
Some of the angles lately, I have noticed they've just been terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Like, they've got 100 different cameras and they're going a million miles an hour. The product is so sped up right now that it's probably the fastest it's ever been in ring. But it's just like, dude, you got to get your cameras right. You know, you can't be seeing people calling spots. It's like, I see it, and what's worse is hearing it.
Yeah.
When you see it, you see him mouth something and you're like, oh, what did he say? When you hear what he says, like the amount of times I've heard Jericho say lion salt.
Yeah.
It's
just like,
dude, stop
shouting
stop
it. Like,
talking.
yeah.
If you can grow your hair long, grow it long again, and fucking cover your mouth when you're saying that.
Yeah. Then I got AJ hits a powerbomb on KO from the top rope, and it looked like it hurt a lot. He caught Kevin like just on the upper shoulder, lower neck area, and his head bounced in such a way I was just like, even I just went, oh, that's a bit.
AJ hit the powerbomb.
AJ hit the powerbomb on Owens, and it looked like it hurt a lot. Yeah, then obviously Jericho comes out. It was a great match, and then Jericho comes out doing the whole AJ Styles chant, and it drove me mad.
Basically the same finish that they did on SmackDown.
Yeah.
See that, and that's what I don't like right now. I've found so often, and it's funny that it's in reverse this time, but so often you find they do an angle on Raw, and they do the exact same thing on SmackDown.
That goes hand in hand with them saying, like, someone, I can't remember who I was talking to about it, it was another wrestling fan, I was saying that they seem to write Raw as if Raw is the only show. And then they're happy to recycle storylines and finishes on SmackDown, which is now no longer on a Friday, being on a Tuesday. 24-hour turnaround.
And it's
same thing.
Well, that's the thing. It's taped on the Tuesday, and then it's not aired till the Thursday.
Exactly.
So it's just like, we already know what's happened, and we're looking forward to when you see Kevin Owens fought AJ Styles. You're like, holy shit, I can't wait to see that. But then, spoilers, whatever. You can't help but see what the finish is.
Exactly.
But it's just lazy writing. It's just lazy writing. But I understand it's 3 hours of Raw. It's a fucking long show to write. But you've got, you can't tell me you can't at least write an hour and a little bit of SmackDown.
Agreed.
Because at the moment, it feels like they're only writing half an hour of TV, and an hour and a half is reruns of Raw.
Yeah.
And it's just like my mate that I was speaking to today at work, he was saying the same thing, man. He had to get stoned to watch SmackDown. He couldn't watch it unless he was high.
That's great.
I was like, maybe that's why you enjoyed the Roman promo so much.
You have to be stoned.
That's it.
So I've also got KO continually saying KO Mania is driving me insane. He is Curtis Axel. Like, it's not Axel Mania. That wasn't over. KO Mania is not over.
No, Axel Mania was definitely over. I loved it.
Axel Mania was pretty good, but like the KO Mania thing, it doesn't have a nice ring to it. Like Axel Mania has a ring to it. KO not so much. So I'm just like, Kevin, stop, please. Like, you don't need that in your character. Get that out. Then so he cuts a promo saying like, oh, those two can fight whatever. I don't care. I haven't found anyone to challenge me yet, rah rah. And then Ziggler comes out in his suit again. Now I've got here Ziggler in a suit. No, please, just stop. It's not. We don't need that heel like that. Teasing a heel turn, Ziggler. We don't want that at all.
I don't want in saying that. I don't want to see him coming out in tights with a denim jacket and a headband looking like Shawn Michaels from 1987 and fucking. No. I don't want him to copy Shawn Michaels. I've seen him copy too many wrestlers from the past. He needs to, and look, as much as I love Dolph, the ship is sailed. He's never going to get a push that he deserves anymore because he has had opportunities, whether he likes to admit it or not. He's had plenty of chances. He's gotten the ball. He's, you can say he knocked it out of the park. Every time he hops in the ring, he knocks it out of the park.
Oh, absolutely.
But unfortunately, his character's just not as over as it needs to be.
It doesn't have the development that it needed to be when he got the pushes.
Man, I think it all just comes down to timing and as well as the name. The name sucks.
You don't like Dolph Ziggler's name?
I don't like Dolph Ziggler.
But his Dolphins, his fans, the Dolphins.
No, man, it's from Dirk Diggler. Like that's where he got it, and and whether he's a Dolphins fan or not, I couldn't give a shit, man. I think it's a shit name.
Yeah.
DZ is kind of cool, but I'm not a fan of the name. I don't like I'm not overly sold on the music either. I love his moveset. He's great in the ring.
Yeah.
But man, that DDT that he does, that big ass DDT spot that he does, that should be his finish.
That's perfect.
That should be his finish. The super kick is a Shawn Michaels move. Let it die as a Shawn Michaels move. Use it if you need to, but it should be used at pay-per-views only.
Yeah.
And I don't understand, like, I've seen the last few weeks it has been finishing people, but that DDT that he does is
beautiful.
So much better than the zigzag. It's so much better than the super kick that he does. Shawn Michaels super kick's phenomenal.
It's picture perfect, yeah.
But, you know, that DDT, fuck man, you got to sell that. That is a sick move. That's the best DDT in WWE at the moment, in my opinion. Better than Dirty Deeds, easily.
So he came down when Kevin was talking about KO Mania, and he came down and he was screaming different manias, and he gave Botchamania a shout out, which was phenomenal. Botchamania, if you haven't seen it,
I have seen it.
Go check it out. For anyone listening as well who hasn't seen it, check it out. Dude in England, he's a Geordie. Shout out to you, eh? Just does all the botches in wrestling, and he goes from all the English promos to as far as New Japan Wrestling. It's great. Go check it out. He gets a shout out, so phenomenal. And then straight after Ziggler and KO go back and forth, Miz comes out. I've got here, no, please stop. Because Miz, I like Miz as well, but you're done, buddy. Like you're in the same ship as Ziggler, where you had the pushes, you fumbled it, or the character development wasn't there. Sorry, mate.
See, I didn't like on SmackDown when they did Miz TV with Sami Zayn. Like what Sami Zayn said to Miz was a very heel thing to say. Like Miz said something like, "I headlined WrestleMania." I'm a former 5-time Intercontinental, whatever he is.
Yeah.
You know, he shout off his accomplishments, how he's headlined Mania, and then Sami Zayn looks at him and he says, "Your days of headlining WrestleMania are over." And it's like, dude, that's a heel thing to say, man. That's not something a babyface says. Like, all I would have said would have been something like, well, you know, I'm Sami Zayn and this is my time. You know?
Yeah, that's like, what he should have finished it with.
Not like, your days are over. It's like, come on, man. He's only in his 30s, man. Yeah. He's got some time to go. And Miz is not exactly he doesn't take crazy bumps. He's probably got a good fucking 5 to 8 years at least.
He's a really safe worker.
Oh yeah, and credit to him, man. He's got a really old school, non-flashy style, which is going to preserve his career for much longer.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know what, man? It's effective. Like the style's effective. I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely have seen Miz have bad matches, but I don't ever recall saying, man, that is a fucking shit match.
Yeah, not with the Miz, no.
I don't ever recall saying that, because he's entertaining as hell as well. Even his bad work matches, he's still entertaining, which is something that they love, and you know, he's going to be a mouthpiece for another 10, 15 years at least. He should be. Like that's got to be his role.
That's right, and then
so Miz, and then
Sammy's music hits. Now,
love Sammy.
As I said earlier, I hadn't been watching for a while, so I completely forgot that Sammy had made his debut officially, and so he comes out, and I marked out like a champ, and my missus on Skype was like, "What are you? You're a loser," and so it was just great. No, not even. She's great. But no, so and then I've got a note here because he comes out and I said this might actually save the segment because up until that point it was like awkward bumbling with Kevin Owens just dominating everyone on the mic. So he comes out and he goes, with all due respect to you two gentlemen in the ring, referencing Miz and Ziggler, he says, you guys' time is done and I've been waiting a very, very long time to get my hands on that man.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, yes, please. And he goes, I couldn't think of a better time or a better place for me to get my hands on you, Kevin, and other than WrestleMania for that title.
Can I just interrupt you?
Go ahead.
Did the crowd pop like a motherfucker
Absolutely.
when he said that?
Yeah.
They would have. The
crowd went nuts.
And that's the match. That's the match that we want.
And I said, I'll take it. I'll take that match at Mania. I'll absolutely take it. And then Kevin says, I'm going to set a triple threat. I'm going to go to the Authority, see if I can get a triple threat set, and the winner of that will face me for my title. Off he goes. Everyone leaves. They're all happy with that. That's cool. Cut to an Ambrose vignette, and he comes on the screen and the crowd explodes. Like, he is so over. What is he doing? What are they doing with Ambrose? So, last week we seen him hanging out and Mick Foley gives him the bat, which is like a passing of the torch kind of deal. This week, he is with none other. I almost rate Jake the Snake because he looked like it for a second, but it was Terry fucking Funk. Oh my god, yes.
And you know what, man? If I was watching that shit live, I would have popped like a motherfucker.
Oh, it was great.
I remember watching Cactus Jack, Chainsaw Charlie matches back in the day, and man, Terry Funk used to take some bumps, bleed every single time he hopped in the ring.
Yep.
Copping barbed wires, copping whatever to the head. Tacks. Oh, I love tacks.
He wasn't talking sense, which was the best part. And it's the moment I seen him though, all I can think about is the interview when he went to New Japan instead of coming over to WWE, and he's just sitting there going, "I should have taken the money, man. I should have." That's all I could think about with it, because that's his unfortunately for Terry, that's his most famous moment. But he did such a good job
with Ambrose's character. He's and I told you this at lunch the other day.
Yeah.
I think they've got something really special in Ambrose where he is. I really don't like his entrance music, but that's another story. That aside, I like the fact that he's like a perfect combination of like a Daniel Bryan type ultimate underdog.
Yeah.
But he's also that kind of anti-authority, like anti-hero like Austin was.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's also got that hardcore in him like Foley. And he's just this perfect blend of those three characters. And it's just like, he can be so special. And again, the feud with Lesnar is going to be incredible. And I did mention this. When it gets to maybe next week, we'll do a predictions video.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll predict what we want to do with Mania. But what I did say, what a cool idea would be for a booking, in my opinion, is have Lesnar versus Ambrose and Mania. Have them beat the fuck out of each other. Just an incredible match, back and forth. I want to see blood. Like any match Lesnar's in, there has to be blood. He's a legit badass. Yep. He has to make someone bleed or both bleed. I don't care what happens as long as someone gets hurt. After the match, have Ambrose take 3-4 F5s if he has to, through tables if he needs to. Have Lesnar go over because Lesnar needs to win. Like he needs to be the one to come out on top. He doesn't need to put Ambrose over because Ambrose is over.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to put him over, but have it be that closely contested. Like have Lesnar sell an injury in that match, and then afterwards, he's about to walk out of the ring, and then Ambrose stands up on his own, looking battered as hell, and then Lesnar storms back to the ring as if he's gonna fuck him up because he's still standing.
Yeah.
And then just have him shake his hand and be like, "That was an incredible match." Just shake hands.
Maybe not even a shake hands. No. I don't think that would fit him. I reckon like a smile and a nod.
Not even that. Like, dude, if it's a smile nod, even if it's a hug, man, I wouldn't give a shit, right? Let them hug. If as lame as it sounds, have them hug, and then have the white music come on and just destroy them, right? And then they're both beat up, they're both hurt. Have them just destroy each other, or better yet, have Ambrose alone in the ring. Have the Whites come out, destroy him, get Lesnar to run down and make the save after the match, and then book a program. Going into I think it's Payback now, but it should be Extreme Rules. Have the next pay-per-view be Extreme Rules, and have Ambrose and Lesnar versus the Wyatts as a program. Like book that program. That's my
book it now. So on that, I would love to see a Lesnar Ambrose match, and this is the way I hope it ends, because the only way that you're going to elevate Ambrose to somewhere beyond where he is now is that if we have the collapse finish. Where
the ring collapses?
No, not the ring collapse.
I'm
collapses. Talking like the Triple H Stone Cold match on the lead up to X7, where they both hit a move on each other, one collapses on top of the other, and that's how they get the pin. Yeah. Could you imagine that Ambrose was the guy who brought the Beast to a collapsing point? The Beast that defeated the streak. Ambrose goes from where he is now, already at the top of the card, to legendary status. I think that would be an amazing finish to put Ambrose and go, this guy's legitimate, and if Ambrose comes out the next day, like, beaten to the shit, comes out and goes, I made the Beast collapse, like, I toppled the Beast. He may have pinned me, but I toppled the Beast, and he can then put, I'm coming for that title. Whoever's got it at that point.
That's a moment, like, that is a moment
fantastic. Like,
book it. You can say, like, as many feuds as Ambrose has lost, for some reason, he's still over as hell, which is great, because the fans haven't given up on him. They still love him, and that's why I say losing to Brock does not hurt your character one bit. Brock is a legit badass. He needs to beat everybody, and then when he's done, when he wants to ride off into the sunset, then you can say, put someone over before you do that.
Yeah.
And that's when you do it. Create a new star in doing that. But Ambrose can take a loss, look strong as fuck in that loss, and still come off looking like a badass, and everyone will still cheer him because, hey, he's a little guy, and he just made the Beast, nearly die.
Yeah, exactly. So, going back to where we were, so Terry Funk comes out and he brings the Chainsaw Charlie chainsaw, which was fantastic. And I've gone like, where are they going with this? Like, what are they doing? And he goes like, I'm bestowing this onto you and that. And my head went, are we possibly going to see a hardcore champion revival? We've had all these hardcore champs coming up.
Well, man, he's CZW for life.
He is.
Ambrose.
He is the hardcore indie guy.
I've seen matches of Ambrose where there's not a speck of skin left on him. It's just like there's just red all over his body.
Exactly.
It's just you can't see any skin. It's just pure blood all over his body. And Grant, look, I'm not into that shit, man. I like a bit of blood. I don't like to see fucking blood all over the mat. People do. I know, like ECW. We've got Leah in the room right now, and she's pointing to herself saying she loves it. She loves blood.
I'm a fan. Yeah. I'm a fan of it.
It's look, man. I love blood. I love the crazy bumps. Don't get me wrong, but overkill is
too much. Too much.
Well, I like the kayfabe aspect of it, where basically when you take a bump through a table, you're getting pinned.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. You just got fucking bumped through a table. You take the pin. You just got busted open with a chair shot to the head. You should take the fall.
Yeah.
You just got hit by that. I watched Rollins versus Ambrose. Was it last year? It was like a ladder match that they had. It was a TLC, I think. It was at TLC.
Yeah.
And Ambrose got buried under like 30 chairs. Like, not chair shots, like
thrown
Rollins
on him,
literally threw 30 chairs on top of him. And I would have been cool with Rollins just climbing to the top of the ladder, grabbing the title and being like, that's the end.
Yeah.
But they had the finish where Ambrose also climbed at the same time. They fell off at the same time, and Rollins ended up holding the title. I was like, look, that's cool because you want that even Steven 50-50 booking.
Yeah.
But it didn't need to happen. No. Ambrose still looked strong as hell losing that feud. It was like, he just got fucked up with 100 chairs, man.
Yeah.
You're going to get hurt.
Let him be
You're
dead.
You're going to be hurt. Let him be dead under those chairs. It's okay. I'm not upset at that. The fans shouldn't be upset. He's still a babyface.
Yeah.
Just let him be buried. It's cool.
Absolutely agree. So, while the whole Terry Funk Ambrose interaction happening, ECW chants. Haven't heard that in a while. Good to see it back. Shout out to our Paulie Dangerous. So, and then he does the greatest. Ambrose does the greatest thing against Chainsaw. I was sitting there going, please start it, and he does the whole this actually works, and everyone in the background, because he's supposed to be in a bar or something, starts freaking out. He just goes, nah, it's cool, and then starts cutting up the table with a chainsaw. I just this is why he's over, because it's just like, I don't know if that was scripted or not. I'm hoping it wasn't, and he just did it.
It would have been, but it's entertaining as hell still.
So then we get another, we get a Shane McMahon vignette hyping how amazing Shane is. We have like Mick Foley, Stone Cold.
For everyone who didn't
everyone
see
who was like talking about
it's
him.
not a video podcast. I just rolled my eyes.
Yeah.
Because look, I love Shane O'Mac. I've seen so many great Shane O'Mac matches, and I think we all have. And that's fair to say. He will take a crazy bump at Mania, and he will salvage this match. But that segment last week on Raw with Taker, when he dodged the punch and then he threw his little punches sequence, did his shuffle, that was the worst piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. And it comes back to throwing a punch, man. You've got to know how to throw a punch in a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you can throw a punch in a real fight. It matters how your punches look on TV. Because, let's face it, man. Steve Blackman, Ken Shamrock, these guys didn't throw the best punches, and they were legit fighters. But guys who are entertainers throw way better punches, and
I think it's more because he was gone from the business for so long, gone from the ring for 7 years, and he's come back and they've thrown him into a match with Taker. So they were like, Taker could stand on the ground with him.
Yeah.
But I think it's because all these training videos that we've seen of Shane.
He's legit training.
He's doing UFC fight training. Like you see him putting like arm bars into people. I'm like. So he's not going to use that. Yeah. He should be wrestling training, not that makes him look like a beast. Like, don't get me wrong, that makes him look
cool, man. He's
dangerous.
In shape. And he's in shape. That's awesome. But
he's not
going to do that to Taker. The guy's fucking 6'9", 6'10".
And he's also like 100 years old. You're not going to put this Undertaker at 100 years old in an armbar because you're going to hear the bones crack and the dust will come out.
Yeah, but you have every announcer in WWE saying that Taker is arguably the best striker in the history of the business, and
he's selling it himself too.
You're hyping him up. You're putting him over by saying that. And then you see Shane's little shuffle last week, and you're like, I wonder if that's going to take down the best striker in the history of the business. Probably not.
And in that same
wait
segment,
a minute, Shane. What's your finishing move? Coast to coast. I don't know if you're going to hit that with those punches.
No.
Man.
and in that same segment as well, the Undertaker did the whole I built my career on these, and holds up his hands, and he's like, these are my legacy. And then they're putting over how good of a striker he is, which they're right. He is an amazing striker. That's what they built his career on. But it's just like, you're not going to see, Shane O'Mac win unless there's going to be, my favourite word, shenanigans. There's going to be shenanigans.
What do you think of Vince's promo saying that he thinks that in the 22 matches that Taker's had at Mania, or 23, is it 23 now?
22 and 1. 23 this year.
He's 22 and 1, isn't he? Already.
Yeah, because he beat Bray last year
to become 22 and 1.
22 and 1. So it's 24th. Yeah.
So 24th match. In 24 matches, Vince had the nerve to say he thinks that Shane is the most formidable WrestleMania opponent.
I have that written down, and that drove me up the wall. I was like, you don't think Triple H, who's your current damn champion, who had 2 matches with him, did it?
Son-in-law.
Yeah, and son-in-law, who had 2 matches with him.
Shawn Michaels,
really?
The showstopper.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Mr. WrestleMania.
I was just like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you didn't even mention the Yeti? Like, the Yeti, he technically beat him. He's chloroform, but he technically beat the... But no, I think...
Dude,
shenanigan jokes aside,
He lost to Lesnar. How can anyone say that he's the most formidable?
I know.
Lesnar fucking beat him.
I was like, unless Shane can beat Lesnar, and then the night before, at NXT TakeOver, it's a special match, and then they have it over.
My dog.
So, it's all good. Shout out to the dog.
Shout out to Clyde.
So it was just so dumb though, but moving on, so New Day walking up on the way to the ring, and they've got all the businessmen in suits in the background. They've got them twerking. They got one to twerk up against the wall. I just put ... what. So League of Nations promo, I was not really fussed about the promo at all. It was just
break.
Pretty much, yeah. I've just got here, the feud isn't over, nor is the League of Nations. I don't care for it. But then the New Day takes over for their half of the back and forth between
Once
the two.
Again, I will say this again, and I think I told you this at lunch.
Yep.
And we'll talk about this on a predictions podcast that we do, but I still believe that the League of Nations is going to go over, purely because I don't think that the New Day need to be tag team champions anymore. They are so over.
Yeah,
they don't
agreed.
need the titles, and I just think that the tag titles, if you do and I don't know how they're going to book the title match at Mania,
yeah.
But if you do a 4-on-3 match for the tag titles, League of Nations versus New Day, having 2 titles on 4 people is going to cause a feud with the League of Nations, and then you can break them up by doing that. And Barrett's off contract, whatever.
He's on his way out.
Again, so he's on his way out. So it'll lead to dissension. Then you're going to have the New Day. You know that Big E is going to get a massive push once they break up. He's a typical Vince McMahon looking guy.
Yeah, true.
So I would like to think that Big E can go far. If he can go world title far, that's another story. I don't think he
First
can.
black wrestling champion? Oh, maybe not, but...
No, I don't think he will.
So, the New Day take over the promo...
But he should.
Agree, he should. But when they take over, they pull out cue cards, and I marked out so bad. It was the funniest thing. They had 3 cue cards that said you, then R, then a picture of a rubbish bin, and they just said trash, and they went over and over, and it was the funniest thing.
If it was an ass.
It would have been. It would have been pretty good, but yeah, I fell over laughing at, and then I just felt like the promo itself, the whole thing carried on a bit too long. For me personally, the Boodio chant, when they tried to get it to go, it took a bit to pick up in Philly of all places. The Philly love to chant. They're a very vocal crowd, and the whole Boodio thing, it's not over. It's not quite over yet.
I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then so the New Day takes control of the ensuing brawl. I was like, well, whatever. We knew a brawl was going to happen because it was a scheduled match 1-on-1. It was I think who was it? Sheamus? No, not Sheamus. It was Rusev and Big E.
Yeah.
Look, it was 2 big brutes beating each other up. One brute, it's depressing how far he's fallen. Looking at Rusev, one thing the New Day cut in their promo was how far they'd all fallen. They said Sheamus, you were a world champion. Del Rio used to come out in limos and flashy cars. You had your own ring announcer. What happened? Rusev, you had Lana in a tank. You know what? And then they had Barrett. They're like, oh, Barrett, you're a king without a throne and a scepter and a whatever. Like maybe we should be the three King of the Rings. And
see again, like
it was they pointed out how bad those guys have fallen, and it's true.
That's good promo, I guess, because they're baby faces and they're pointing out the truth. So that's trying to make them white meat, but I still feel like that's burying their character a bit. It's like
I think it's more pointing out that how far they've fallen down the card, because you look, and this is something that we spoke about at the lunch as well, is that there are too many heels at the moment, not enough faces up top. Like face wise, you have Ambrose who's over, Roman who isn't. And
I said that I made the counter argument that there is a lot of baby faces. There's plenty of heels, but there's not enough top heels. There's not enough dominant heels. Like there needs to be one. Like having Triple H as your top heel when he's a part-time wrestler is not best for business.
Not at all.
Jericho heel is best for business. That is a top heel. That again, Jericho's kind of a part-timer, so you know that he's just there to put over the talent, which is great. And you know what, man? If Jericho beats AJ, I'll be fucking pissed off.
If that happens at Mania, I think they will boo it. Man, it will be booed.
If Jericho can put Fandango over and not put over,
that'll be an argument.
I will fucking kill myself, honestly.
It was terrible. So it was a lackluster match in between the two. I think the only thing that really saved the match was the Xavier and Francesca too, with the hilarious like trombone blowing.
Screen. I love that.
It was great.
You can't. That's why you can't fast forward a New Day match, in my opinion. It's just so entertaining. I've said for the last maybe 18 months that I thought New Day were the best act in WWE. They are the most entertaining act in WWE. That they literally, I own a New Day shirt because I love them so much.
They are great.
If I wasn't flying to America in
what is it? You got 4 days left or something? 10 days?
It's less. It's like 8 days now.
8 days, yeah.
Going to America, I would definitely order a box of Booty-O cereal with a shirt in it because I don't want to carry it for.
We're gonna have to have that on set. I think we're gonna have to order one and have it on set once we get the set organised. But so then I actually had commentary muted for the match, so I've written down literally from what I remember from most matches in New Day, and I said, let me guess, Unicorn Stampede, World's Biggest Unicorn, New Day are awesome, and that's all from JBL. And I'm pretty sure that's bang on. Like he just has that list of what he goes through. So Big E had a terrible landing off the spear he gave to Sheamus, but he got straight back up, which was good. But when I caught it, it looked like he put his hands out too late. And he landed right on the side of his near his temple.
Through the ring rope?
Through the ring rope one that he does. I just went, oh, hang on, that looked bad. But on a replay, he got his hands up just in time for a semi-decent landing. So I was concerned, but, it was he got up pretty much straight away. And then I
feel like that's a lot of men to be taking that kind of bump.
Oh, absolutely.
Big E's what? 350 pounds, 360?
Something like that,
and then Sheamus has got to be what? 280?
Yeah, he's not a big boy, so...
No, Sheamus is big, man. Sheamus is what 6'4", 6'5", and he's 280. That's a big man.
Oh, in comparison with like big.
Oh, with big, yeah. But combine that, you've got over 500-pounder man.
Yeah, Big Show taking a bump like that. You wouldn't see it.
Kind of bump. That's a fucking lot of bump right there.
Which I 100% agree. I was very concerned about it, but he got back up and he seemed to be fine. He wasn't making a grimacing face, so it was good. I also got a side note. Kingston and Barrett should have been a tag team, and they could have been named the Boom Bros. Kingston had the 3 booms, Barrett had the boom. I think that would have been amazing to see. It would have been great. Then the Bray promo, it was pretty good. Talking about sacrificing Dean's soul to the Wyatt family. Please stop with that. You're not going to kill anyone.
Because Braun was the main event.
I do like the whole run thing. I like that because it was like with their build-up when they're saying we're coming and then we're here. I liked it.
Did you see the SmackDown promo of Bray Wyatt?
I missed it.
Well, see, one of the boys in the group, Brad, shared that promo from SmackDown. I didn't watch SmackDown, but I only saw... I've gone back and watched a few matches from it. I watched the AJ Jericho match, which is awesome. Watched the promo of Bray, which he basically says like, what would a kingdom be without a king? What would a so and so be without a so and so? He's referencing a few wrestlers. What would a something be without a beast?
Yep.
So references like Lesnar, references as Triple H. references as someone else, the Undertaker. He says
Yeah.
something about the Phenom. I think I can't remember exactly what he says, but he references as the 3 main events in the match, and he says, "But I know something they don't know."
So he's going to
And
probably
it's
do
like,
something at Mania. That's
are you gonna
awesome.
are you gonna do something in all 3 matches?
Yeah.
Because I want to see that.
Could you imagine him dropping off one White family member?
I would love Bray Wyatt to hijack the show.
Oh yeah.
Entirely. Like
Yes,
have
please.
the main card go, and then the last 3 matches are Lesnar, Ambrose, Triple H, Roman, Undertaker, Shane, and just have Bray hijack the entire
Every single one.
main event aspect of the card.
Yeah, agreed.
And just destroy them and just be like, I'm the fucking face of fear. I'm taking over the company. I'm the WWE champ. I'm sick of not getting a push. This is my time.
Or getting a push and then having it immediately the carpet pulled out. But we'll get to that.
Here's Bray.
Yeah, pretty much. So next up, Big Show is out. He does the whole pose next to the Andre the Giant thing. Yep, cool. That's the only reason you won. Sorry, mate.
Champion.
Yep. He goes and then he gets into the ring after doing the pose and he grabs a microphone. I've written here, oh look, he's doing a promo. Dear God, someone help. Then
like
immediately the social outcasts come out. Now, Big Show cuts his small promo. It's over. Surprisingly, Philly were like loving it. There was no please retire. There was.
I think the reason why you'll find that is because he got himself over
on Stone Cold. Yeah, I agree.
He was like Big Show's always going to be over. He's the fucking Big Show.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where like everyone's disrespecting him, saying please retire. It's getting to the point where it's a popular chant. Let's tell him that we don't want to see him anymore. But when he goes on the Austin podcast and he basically pours his heart out and says, I think we should. I wish we did this, and I wish I was used better, and rah rah. He comes across so likable that they're like, I don't want to boo you anymore.
Exactly.
Man. You're like a white meat baby.
He did the Adam Rose thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that ESPN special thing. That they did.
So
that was very wasted. But, he's not the only one that's been wasted.
So he cut a great promo, I think, and then even though I wrote oh god, it was actually quite good. And then he was over with it, and then the Social Outcasts come out, and I've got Baby there because, Slater Baby, King of Boys. And, it was an awkward kind of stumbling through, attack on Big Show, where all 4 tried to have a go at him, and he kind of just shrugged them all off. But he's so slow in the ring now, like, he can't bump properly, in my opinion. He can't quite do it. And then Kane comes out, I was like, yay, Kane's here, save the segment, go get him. And then I thought, well, is this maybe turning into a preview for the Andre Battle Royale? I thought more and more people were going to come out. We were going to have like 15, 20 guys in. No, Kane just comes out, clears the ring, and then Big Show hugged Kane and went, Kane's the man, gets up on the second rope and does the whole, yeah, I'm the Big Show. Kane looks up to him and taps him on the shoulder, and Big Show's like, oh, what do you need? And then gets chokeslammed, which wasn't so much a chokeslam as Kane kind of just held on as Big Show leapt because he had to, because they both can't do it anymore. And it was so awful, a terrible looking chokeslam, and then they were like, oh, I think Kane just sent a message to the Big Show, rah, 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 but not a great segment to hype what has become pretty much a lackluster part of the pre-show, where it's not really over, not many people look forward to it, it's not the Royal Rumble, it's a Baby Rumble, no one really cares about it, sorry Andre, but,
What's in the pre-show, dude?
The pre-show, I think, at the moment is... I actually think Kalisto and Ryback are on the pre-show.
I heard that.
And the Andre the Giant thing. And I think also Usos and Dudleys. I think that's the 3 pre-show.
It should be.
Agreed.
I actually think you're going to find that Usos and Dudleys may end up turning out to a triple threat tag team match with Goldust and R-Truth.
The Golden Truth? Oh, God. We'll get to that because that's on the show too.
No, look, man, I can't say... I like both Goldust and R-Truth as workers. Definitely too old now. They need to just move on.
Agreed. But hey, black don't crack. K Quick still looks good.
At the end of the day, man, R-Truth, he tweeted a hater recently that said, I make 6 figures and I make kids happy. So, can't complain with that.
Exactly.
If he's going to get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to make kids happy...
You do what you do.
He's going to do it.
So, we have the Stan Hansen getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. Cool. JBL had the gall to say he was part of one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I just went, the fabulous Freebirds, who are the greatest of all time, are on the same induction list. Like, you're aware of that, right? Then Fandango's out from wherever the hell he's been hiding. Should have actually been in the social outcasts. Fandango, he fits it. He should have been in there. Make him 5. Why not?
Well, I dare say that Damien Sandow should have been in there too.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, expect an AJ run in, and yep, well there it is. Coming out saying Y2 Jackass. Quite liked that. I like it.
I did hear that, and I liked it a lot.
I thought it was quite glorious.
I didn't, however, like that Jericho didn't lose the match.
No,
he should have lost. Because I thought Fandango,
AJ
having pinned him at Mania, I thought it would have been cool that AJ cost him the match. Just coming out saying Y2 Jackass.
Yeah.
He would have got heated. That little schoolboy roll-up thing that he did.
Yep.
Like that.
I thought that was it. And I was like, that should have been it. But they still had to have Jericho win because they can't have KO lose. And having him go over AJ, even to a distraction, is great.
Yeah.
Especially with the match they put on. So that's fine. I was happy with the way that they did that. But I agree, Fandango should have won that.
It would have been nice to, Jericho cost AJ cost Jericho.
But then what would have they done with Fandango, though? Because then they would have actually had to do something.
Man. They're just going to throw him in the Andre battle.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what? Funnily enough, it is a little bit interesting, the Andre battle, because I don't fucking know, and I don't really care who's going to win, but I'm kind of curious, I guess.
I agree. So then they officially made it at Mania with these two now. I was like, cool, it's about time that happened because we knew it was all coming. So I was like, thanks. It's a bit too overly predictable, but that's fine.
When I saw it today that it wasn't already official. I thought it was.
Everyone knew it. It was an assumption. Knew it,
yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, we might as well.
It's like the world's worst kept secret.
Yeah. So then we cut to another Undertaker Shane vignette. Legends all chipping in again. And I've got the biggest note here that I think every wrestling fan will 100% agree with, is that it's hype for the match, but it's not the hype we want. What we want is a goddamn reason as to why Undertaker is fighting him. Like, yeah, okay, cool. And they got to that at the end segment of the show. But we will get down to that and come back to it. Basically, before we get there, Vince basically went, the Undertaker is essentially my bitch, in reference to what Shane said, and I was like, where is the gong? The gong should have hit right then and there.
That's exactly what as soon as I heard him say it, why did the gong not happen at that point in time? And, I just keep on thinking that with the stipulation now, he said, if Undertaker loses, this will be his last Mania. Mm-hmm. Like, that makes you think, in Texas, potentially his last one, home crowd, Undertaker at Mania, is he going to lose to Brock and then Shane's going to be the only other person he lost to? No.
Dude, could you imagine if, and I know that we want to believe it so bad, but if the lights drop out in the Hell in a Cell, Sting's there with the bat, standing over an unconscious Undertaker, and Shane's already on the ground and does the whole thing like Survivor Series and drags Shane over him, gets to 3, and then Taker and Sting at 32. Book it, Vince. That's only if the rumours aren't true.
Look, it could also lead to the fact that Vince doesn't say kind of a. It would be great in the sense that if that were to happen and Sting's not retiring, as hopefully I'm hoping.
God, we hope he's not.
But let's say he's not retiring for the sake of this argument. Sting does that, then you can book a program of Sting versus Vince. Because Sting cost Vince the match, not just The Undertaker.
Yeah, I do want to see Vince back in the ring.
And then you know what? No, not even Vince back in the ring, but you can just say Vince is booking all these people to take out Sting now. And then, he could go through the League of Nations if need be, just to get some wins under his belt, because he fucking needs to win on a pay-per-view. But then right at the end, come Royal Rumble season next year, Mania season next year, Vince could be so fed up with Sting beating everyone that he goes to The Undertaker to face Sting at Mania, and he says, this is it. You cost him the match, so now he's gonna end your career. Kind of. And you could do it. Like you could book it like that.
But yeah, so we're getting ahead of where we should have been. But that's all good. But it's all good. So KO segment, Pure Gold, where he comes out and he says Zack Ryder, Stardust, and who was the other Sin Cara come down as for the triple threat, which is hilarious. Then he jumps on commentary, even better, sitting there talking away.
KO on commentary is best for business.
Is absolutely best for business. I think it was absolutely fantastic. And then he's sitting there talking about how good he is, how much he hates Byron Saxton and Michael Cole, and I was just losing it because I love it every time he's on there. He says that.
But I will stop that and say, make the counter argument. You can't badmouth Michael Cole as a heel because that is a babyface thing to do.
Yep.
Nobody likes Cole.
No.
Nobody likes him. You can sit there and say he looks like a piece of shit or he looks like this, he looks like that. Are you watching Cole like he often says? Did you see that move? Rah. The fans cheer for that. Yeah. Because that's a baby. No one likes Cole.
Exactly.
He sucks. Everyone hates him. So,
But I agree.
Enough about that. And I do enjoy it still, but it's because I do like Kevin Owens. So
we
I
all
want
do.
to cheer
He's
him,
great.
So
then during the match, while the match is on, mind you, the other three come down, the ones that we spoke about earlier, Ziggler, Miz, and Zayn, and they all come down and start berating Owens at ringside. While the match is still going on, basically they throw him into the ring, the match gets thrown out, and then everyone has a crack at Owens.
Yeah.
Owens does the cowardly heel, bails. Good, that's fine. Happy with that. And then immediately runs to Steph, who was at the time, in the middle of a phone call to what we assume to be Triple H, saying, "Can you come get me? I'm worried about Roman Reigns. I'm scared of him. Whatever. That's cool. Putting Reigns over. That's great." KO bursts in the office and interrupts, and she does the whole finger up thing, like I'm on the phone, like a mum would to a child. And then he goes, "Did you see what they happened to me? Did you just see?" She goes, "Yes, I saw." And he goes, "None of them deserve a title shot, in my opinion." Rah, rah. And she goes, "Well, guess what? You're fighting all six. You were talking about climbing the ladder earlier. It's going to be a ladder match." And then it's set. So Zack Ryder, getting a fucking pay-per-view payday.
Hype bros.
Mate, he's the internet champion, and he's actually is one of my personal favourites as a super low card NXT tag team guy. Like his woo, you know it,
and
is
his entrance
the most
music is
over.
Incredible.
It is great,
but he's just
he's shit. He's so bad. Hey, he's banging Emma though, so props for that because she's quite a catch. One of our girls. One of our girls. But so. Then they cut to a nice Roman Reigns segment. Once again, this is what he needs to be, but is it too late? So basically what happened is Steph gets into the car, and as they're rolling out the roller door opens, and Reigns is standing there. My question is, how long was he standing there? Was he just standing out there the whole time, like waiting, like this is going to open and someone's going to be there? It might not be Triple H. But...
I did love that.
So he comes in.
I honestly, I thought the exact same thing when I saw it. The roller door goes up, he's standing there like he's the fucking crow or something.
It would have made me...
It's like, dude, how long have you been standing there like that?
It would have made me so happy if he almost pulled like an Ambrose thing. What Ambrose would have done if he was in that would have just like immediately stood up off a chair and put the paper down because he was just sitting there reading it. Maybe
it would have been kind of cool if that like when Hunter stepped out of the car, when Steph opened the door or whatever, and Hunter stepped out of the car. If Roman just ran over and just smashed him while Steph was there.
I was hoping he was the driver.
She kind of took... Oh, dude, the driver would have been great.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just taking a little bump. Like, Steph takes a little bump and she's like, he attacked me.
Yeah.
We're going to throw him out of the title picture, rah, rah. And then he's just like, I told you, bitch, I'm the authority now. You know, like, it would have been great. But, you know,
so
I get it, it's PG. They have to fucking make this stuff entertaining
so
for
I
the
decided,
casual fan. But
I agree. And it was just like... It was a great segment, and I thought, like I said to you earlier too, I was like, this is what he needs to be, but is it too little too late? Like, is this because they always seem to do this, that once he's getting to the point where he's being booed out of stadiums, they tend to immediately change the character to what we want it to be. And then the moment he gets over, they rip it away again.
I've often said, man, they have the ability to, no matter how bad the product is, 1 week can turn it around like it's a completely different show to what you were watching the week before.
Yeah.
But that's it. And I said this to you just before in the car, like, what happens next week is critical. It's the go home. It's like you need to book him like that next week and have people cheering him. I still think that they've left it too little too late. That no matter who's cheering him right now, you're going to have 100... Like, I'm already prepared to fly from Australia to Dallas and boo on the match. So... If I'm like that,
that is the best way to put it. Yeah,
there's going to be at least 90,000 other people exactly
all
the
over
same
the world too.
I dare say, okay, so there's 100,000 people maybe going to Mania. Okay, I think they've sold high 80 so far.
Yeah, even if they don't sell out the arena, they will say that they've sold out. Yeah,
exactly right. I'll have the exclusive from the stadium.
Yeah, man. Yeah. The podcast when you get back is going to be great.
Tell you guys exactly...
the exact number.
What the number is, because I'm going to count every head individually.
You're not going to see any wrestling. Well, you've got 7 hours.
I'm not even going to watch the show.
Jesus.
So I'm just going to count the heads.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, just quickly on that, we are going to try our best to do a video diary while we're over there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just to sort of see, how it goes. Just do a little feeler and see what that's like. But just based on that, as I was saying, there's probably, I'm guessing, of the 100,000 say people that are going to be there, how many do you reckon will be international guests?
Man, I want to say I'd happily say at least 10,000.
Okay,
I would say at least 10,000 will be
say
international.
10 to 15% roughly. So let's just base it off, say 15,000.
Yeah.
15,000 smart fans are going to fly there, and let's be honest, we're marks. All right, we're smart.
We're marks.
We are. We're going to fly there, and they're prepared, just like I am, to boo him out of the building.
Yep.
Now, can they turn my perception around in the space of a week and a half to 2 weeks? Personally, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't like the guy. Not that I don't like Roman Reigns. I want to like Roman Reigns. I want to cheer for him. I think that he has so much potential because he's a tall, strong, athletic, good-looking dude.
Yep.
And he is, man. But am I going to feel sorry for a tall, strong, athletic, good-looking dude? No.
Nope.
Why are you booking him like an underdog?
Yeah.
Book him like a bad motherfucker that I'm afraid of, and I want to be his friend because if I'm not his friend, he's going to kick my ass.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Book him like that. Not to that extent. He doesn't have to be the anti-hero. He just needs to be the one versus all. Not have the fucking Usos on his team every single time.
Agree. Not this whole. They need to let go of this whole Samoan family
it's stupid,
thing.
Man.
It's
just
bringing them
have
all
him
down.
Be the badass that just kicks everyone's ass, takes no prisoners, and it's like he walks backstage and he sees like a fucking. Say Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to shit on Owens, he's just the first guy that I thought of, but say he sees a guy, even maybe a Tyler Breeze type character, right?
Yeah.
Tyler's not over, they're not going to push him because they're fucked, and I love Tyler. But,
he got himself some backstage heat. We'll get to that later.
But say they could get a guy like that who is a heel. He's a heel, okay? So he walks backstage, he has a run-in with Tyler Breeze. Instead of just having a laugh at him, just beat the fuck out of him on camera and just be like, that's the kind of babyface I want to cheer for.
Yeah.
Because it's 2016. I don't care about a guy that says, say your prayers, eat your vegetables, and believe that.
Yeah,
I couldn't give a fuck about believing that.
I'm so glad that believe that is gone. But
man, he said it this week. He said it in the Steph promo.
I was so annoyed that he did, but I didn't want him to.
It was going really so well until that point.
Believe it. But
shut up.
So even after he beats the crap out of Triple H, though, still booed. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
But it was and this is what I spoke about in the vehicle with you on the way here, that it was a very smart move that they've made recently where they're keeping him out of the ring, they're keeping him off TV. He was only on telly for, I think, a total of like maybe 10 minutes of the 3-hour show.
How do you hype a pay-per-view for 100,000 people without having your main attraction, your main event on TV? It's like, I understand he needs to be... And look, I do think that they did it. They're doing
smart.
It correctly.
Yeah.
They're doing it correctly because they know the go-home shows are in the big heel crowd, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
So they're doing it correctly, but I just think 3 weeks out from Mania, 2 weeks out from Mania, you've got to have your top guy on TV. So...
Well, look at Rock and Cena's build-up into WrestleMania, and they weren't even... when they were the main event as well... They were on every SmackDown, every Raw, constantly hyping it, segmenting it, everything.
You can't.
I know you can't. You really can't. But they need to take it like a blueprint.
Like I know The Rock is like the ultimate in terms of showman, whatever.
Yeah, charismatic showmanship.
Even Cena is on a level that Roman will never get to, in my opinion.
I agree. Even Triple H is on a level he won't get to.
We're all
Triple H is here.
Everyone's saying the same thing, and I just can't believe that, Vince hears the booze. He definitely hears the booze. He knows what the fans want.
Yeah.
He just refuses to give it to them through stubbornness or whatever. But, it's one of those things, man. He has to know how these big stars are created. If you do a heel run with Roman for a year or two, he's going to be the top babyface.
It's going to be a Rocky blueprint all over again.
It will be, and that's the thing.
That's what it needs to be.
I just don't understand it.
So, the next match moving on from that was... Charlotte and Natty. Yay for Natty. It's a roadblock rematch. Good call. Becky and Sasha on commentary actually detracted so much from the match it wasn't funny. They were bickering non-stop. I think they were maybe in character and hyping it too much.
I guess that's kind of why they and look, this probably get me some heat, but
Oh,
I think
careful.
that is why they will not lose that divas term anytime soon. They come across as divas in their character. The NXT women come across as women because there's a lot less of that crap, a lot less promos and a lot more wrestling. And you know, have a look at Bailey is the blueprint for that. Oscar is the blueprint for that. You know, it's just badass women wrestling. And don't get me wrong, man, I love all three of those girls.
Oh, I
think
love
Charlotte,
Becky. Becky's my
you know what?
favorite.
I genuinely, maybe not hated, that's a strong word. I didn't like Charlotte when she was a babyface because I thought she was getting the rub off her old man.
Yeah, she's
and
a
then
better
the
heel.
second she switched it to heel,
Loved it.
it was like, fuck, what a heel. Like,
Yeah.
I thought to myself, this girl is a heel.
Mm.
Like, she's reminding me of Rick
Yeah.
back in his heel days when he was... I couldn't stand him, but I loved it. I was like, I hate this guy so much. I just want to see someone beat the shit out of him.
Agreed.
And,
So,
and you know, that's... You know, that credit to her. She's keeping me so interested in the feud. Sasha's a star. She's going to be... You know, she is going to be the top diva for a long time, but is it too soon for Bailey to come up? I think it is.
I think it is.
I think that you can't have... Like, Sasha's going to go over at Mania, and we've talked about this, and I'm not going to mention it now. Like, my booking is probably a lot different to a lot of people's.
Yep.
But I think that having Bailey come up immediately after Mania is the wrong move, because if Sasha's going to end up winning the title, she's got to have a reign before Bailey comes up.
Yeah, exactly, because they have that history, and it's going to be a Sammy Kevin Owens-esque storyline.
I would even dare say I would have Sasha and Becky trade the title a couple of times before Bailey comes up, because I don't think Bailey needs to come up right now. I think that the three women that they have at the top are great. I think that Paige has lost a bit of shine, and she probably will get better, you know, because they're going to want to put... If Sasha does win the feud eventually and gets the title, they're going to want her to go over somebody. And Paige is a big one that she's probably going to go over. She'll probably get a win over Natalya. She'll probably get a win over...
Eva Marie. Let's hope we never see that.
Hope we never see that.
But, so, one thing actually, going back to what you said about being women and not divas, is I think Becky actually copped a lot of heat for saying it. She called Charlotte a woman, not a diva, in the middle of the match. Yeah. And immediately the next line she said was, I want that Divas title, because she almost said woman again. So I was like, please let Becky win it and then take it away and rework the Divas title, because she said, like, I want the glitz and glamour on that.
It would be nice if Becky cut like a promo saying, I'm not a diva, I'm a woman, and that is my championship.
Well, she said, I'm a lass kicker, which I think, the lass thing's over. I like it.
I like it.
Becky is coming across like a bro. If you've got her on Instagram and on Twitter and all that, she's like, she always puts up...
Her puns.
Yeah, like, come at me, bro, and stuff. Like, I love that. Yeah. That's such a good champion thing. Like, I honestly think her character is more entertaining than the boss.
Yeah, I guess it's arguable. I think the boss is more versatile. That's what I like.
Agreed. The boss is more versatile, but like you've got with the whole Becky thing, because obviously I'm a Becky guy, you're a Sasha guy, so we'll be sitting here all night about it. But
I love Becky too.
I do enjoy both of them, but I just feel like the whole Sasha's better as a heel, not as a face.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
But you can't have two heels.
The crowd won't let her be a heel at the moment.
No, and you can't have her in this three-way feud. You can't have two heels and one face, because then the one face has to win. So
she's going to be a merch machine, Sasha, with those rings and the glasses. Like, she's going to be a merch machine.
Yeah.
Bailey's going to be a merch maching. Oscar with the headbands, she's going to be a merch machine. Like, they just need to let the women do their thing, because they don't need Vince telling them that, you know,
show more boobs,
show more this, and
show your bum. Yeah.
Like, you don't need that, man. They just need to go out there and wrestle, man.
I need Triple H to run the Divas department.
Definitely.
So it's a solid match between the two. I wasn't paying too much attention to it because I was more focused on the commentary, because there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of great lines were said, and it was hyping the match, which was great, and I did like it. There was a slight segment after, nothing overly big, so, you know, nothing much to talk about there. Next out was the Dudley Boys up against Truth. I've just written here, Paul K. Quick, because you're going to get squashed, son. And he did. It was an absolute squash match with an Uso run-in. which is what I thought was going to happen.
No
But no,
run in?
Gold Dust run in, and then so I was like,
I figured that would happen.
Yep, and then Golden Truth, I just put it isn't going to be a thing. It's not going to be over. It's almost like the whole. I'd be surprised if it got as over as the whole Damien Mizdow thing did, but it got.
I loved Mizdow.
It was great, but it wasn't really great. And then the Usos came out, and the crowd did not give a shit.
Of course,
they didn't care. So I've got here in big capital letters, meh. That whole segment, the whole thing was a big meh.
We spoke about this, man. The Usos are there because the kids love them, not because they're over. They're not over. They're good workers, but they're not over with like. I will never like the Usos. I like their work. If I see a 6-man tag like what they had a few months ago where they did that crazy ladder match with Usos. Lucha Dragons and the New Day.
Oh,
that
wasn't
was
good.
Awesome.
Wasn't that
awesome.
Great match?
And you know what, the Usos are great workers, and they're always going to do that.
Yeah, and they carried props to them. They carried that.
They did.
They carried that tag team division
for a couple of years.
For a while. Yeah, so
props to them, but I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I like their intro.
Fan of their work, not a fan of their character.
I do like their entrance. They're a very bland character, but their entrance is great. The whole haka.
You know, it's funny. A lot of people don't like their entrance or their music, but I do enjoy their music
because they're gangster.
Guilty pleasure.
They're gangster Samoans. Bring it up. But so next,
let's just move on.
Yeah, agreed. Like the next thing is the Vinnie Mac segment. And then he, like we spoke about earlier, says that Shane is the most badass, formidable opponent. I just went, you're kidding. That's not going to happen.
No,
then he announces the whole if Taker loses, Taker's retired. And I just went, are you
Finally
kidding?
A stipulation.
Finally a stipulation that we can get behind.
Finally a reason to care that... Finally a reason why Taker is going to help him.
And then we know that Taker's going to win anyway.
The fact that he called him his bitch surely gets him a tombstone.
Exactly. But the stipulation came out and it's like, oh, yay, we're going to retire Taker. I just went, that's so Taker's winning.
It could look, at the end of the day, it could very well be that, and I highly doubt this will happen, but it could be the fact that maybe Taker wants this to be his last match in Dallas because it's in Dallas.
Yeah.
So he wants that to happen. But
so maybe he doesn't get retired at Mania, but maybe Dallas is his last Mania.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
That could be a thing.
SummerSlam would be the next logical step to retire him.
Yeah, and then maybe he has his last match at SummerSlam, and then they announce around the Rumble that Taker is headlining the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, love it.
Could
Perfect.
happen. But I don't think Taker will lose. But
no, I don't either. I don't think there's a many wrestling fan that think he'll lose. But we did go into Lesnar Taker.
Correct.
But then again, at that point, there was that doubt in your mind where Lesnar's the first legitimate one to, Correct. But, so, then we have the main event. Yes, Braun Strowman is in your main event. I apologise to wrestling fans everywhere. And there's still these rumours flying around that they're going to push him after Mania, and I God hope not. He can't. He can cut a promo. I'll give him that. If it's in really big letters in crayon, he can cut a promo in front of him. But wrestling wise, he can't sell because he's supposed to be a big man. I get it. But when he did the whole Lesnar in between him and Lesnar at the Rumble, he wasn't selling, and Lesnar got pissed and started throwing started throwing potatoes, which is good times. But
if you sell for Lesnar and you give him a reason to sell for you, he will.
He will. But if you don't sell for Lesnar, he's going to kick the shit out of you.
Hurt you. Yeah, because he's going to make you sell.
Exactly. So then they had Heyman on commentary for the match, and it detracted way too much. Everyone was too busy listening to Lesnar, listening to Heyman saying how great he was. And he is. Anytime Heyman gets on anything that will project his voice, it's see you later. He owns that show. He owns the segment. He owns everything about it, which is what makes him such a great manager.
Again, I could listen to Heyman cut a 2
hour. I want Heyman to narrate my life. Yeah. But so yeah, he was just selling promoing constantly how awesome Lesnar is, and he said that any weapon that Ambrose brings to the ring, Lesnar can use against him, which I thought was a great line. Yeah. So I said Strowman isn't good enough to make Ambrose look strong, because that's the only reason that match happened. And I just thought all in all the actual ending to the match was a bit poor. Because he kicks the crap out of he's apparently kicked the crap out of the entire Wyatt family, and which he kind of does. And he wins by DQ by fighting them all off, and they don't retreat though. They kind of just get planted in the mat, and then Ambrose just waltzes out of the ring and then leans with his shirt off over the desk at Heyman, and Heyman just goes, I'm just an advocate, I'm just an advocate. I really wanted him to just be like screaming at him, like, did you see that? I just took on 4 guys. I'm coming for your boy next kind of deal. But he kind of just looked at him with that crazy look in his eyes and then went over to the crowd to Yahoo. But look, I think it was a poor ending to the Raw, and Strowman being in the main event made me sad. But all in all, look, advancement-wise for storylines, we had Undertaker being career on the line. We had Kevin Owens with the 7-man now ladder match. Yeah. I'm assuming one of them is going to get taken out. Probably Zack Ryder. Okay, thanks. Bye, mate.
No, it'll be 7, man.
You reckon it'll be all 7?
7, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think they'll take Zack Ryder out because he's in NXT. He's been dropped back down to NXT, pushed down the cart. I don't think they care for it. So
I couldn't care less if it's 7 or...
Yeah, agreed. You know, it doesn't matter.
The only thing that sucks is that with a multiple man match like that, it's very hard to focus on who you want to focus on.
Yeah.
Which I want to focus on Owens and Zayn.
Agreed.
And, I'm not going to get a...
Like, I think we'll get the teaser for it. And then,
and I think Zayn will challenge him at Payback or whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that Owens goes over, but
yeah, it's just
one of those things. I don't know. It's his first Mania, so you'd hope that he goes over.
Yeah,
they've invested a lot in him.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, so all in all, that was Raw. Coming out of it, we talked about some of the storyline advancements. There was some. Not much. There was so many ads. I hadn't watched a live Raw in a long time. There's a lot of ads. I honestly think it was only about 2.5 hour show, and of that 2.5 hours, you're probably only looking at about an hour 15 of actual wrestling, and then
this is why that everyone complains that it's too long.
Yeah.
But if they're making money, they're not going to change it.
Agreed. And they keep referring as well. One thing that annoys me is they keep referring to how the WWE Network is award winning. What awards?
What award did it win?
Where is the announcement of these awards? What are you talking about?
What has it won?
Like, they overhype things that they can't back up, which annoys me.
If you could pick one match from Raw that you would say was the match of the week, what would it be?
Oh, man. I'd have to say the KO AJ match. It was phenomenal. The moves that they pulled out were leaving the crowd stunned. And the commentators didn't know how to react to the moves.
I would have guessed that would have been the match of the night.
Yeah.
But, again, I haven't watched Raw in full, so I can't tell you what my thoughts on that match are. If it's anything like the SmackDown match, it definitely was the match of the night.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
So I will go that far to say. I think that Jericho and Fandango might have had a good match. I didn't see it, but I think they're two good workers.
It was over too quickly.
Okay.
To be able to give it some airtime was reduced.
Of course, Charlotte and Natalya too. That could have been good too.
Yeah, it was a good match. It was a solid match.
Better than Roadblock, or
I would say not as many close pinning moments.
Okay.
But it wasn't long enough to get emotionally invested in it as they had the chance with Roadblock. But it was still a solid mid-card match. I wouldn't say, because it's a Divas Championship match, it came across more like a mid-card match. It was solid, though, between two solid workers.
All right. I'll take that.
So, yeah.
Creative point of the week. We're going to run a segment in the... When we actually get this podcast going...
A bit more professional,
we're going to have a segment called Now That's Creative. If you could pick a creative moment this week, what would you pick? I dare say the creative aspect of making Roman come across as a badass is pretty cool.
That's pretty up there. I'm actually gonna go with the Hardcore Champs hitting up Ambrose.
Okay.
I think that's nice and creative. But yeah, once we get down the line, the Now That's Creative point will be something as well where we'll talk about not just like what happened in the entertainment business this week as well. We'll talk about like from way back in the day things like that we thought was amazingly well done or just like too out there for us.
And there's plenty of them.
Yeah, there's plenty of them. Like the first one obviously has to be that comes to mind immediately is the turkey or the rooster at Royal Rumble way back when, and then you've got the good points being the Undertaker like. When they pulled him in the first time, could you imagine what they knew what they had when they got him?
Alright, so I'll ask you this. Mania 2 weeks away. Imagine there was no WWE Network.
Yeah.
Would you pay, for the card that you've got in front of you, would you have paid $59.95 for that card that you got in front of you?
Look, if I was in the mind of every average wrestling fan, I would still get it. Okay. Because I think they've done... They haven't done a great job, but I think they've done enough.
Okay.
I think they've done enough to sell it to the point where it's like, okay, I'll want to watch this.
Do you think they legit sell 100,000 tickets?
No way. I
will?
think they will get to. I'm going to predict like 92,387. That's the number I'm going with.
92,387.
Yep.
I'm going very precise.
Very specific. I'm just going to guess that's what they're going for because if you're looking at it, they have to have the Titantron. They're not going to sell the seats behind the Titantron. They have to have different spots and that. I think that there will be a segment about that many that they won't be able to fill seats in.
The mark in me wants to say they won't. They won't. But the wrestling fan believes.
Oh, you believe that?
I believe that they will crack 100,000 legit.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I go back to what my again, he's been mentioned on this podcast, I believe, but maybe he shouldn't have. CM Punk. He did say that the wrestlers aren't the draw. WrestleMania is the draw.
Agreed.
And if WrestleMania is the draw in Dallas, in a stadium that seats 105,000, they will get 105,000 there.
I think
they do enough marketing, they will get those seats there, and I guarantee you, come the week of the show, they'll be selling those tickets for like $20 if they haven't filled it.
I
think
it's
going to be heartbreaking considering how much I paid for the tickets. So.
I don't even want to know, but I think
good because I don't want to talk about
a good bit to mention would be that with something that they tend to do around WrestleMania season as well, with all the guys that they have out, especially all the top guys they have out, is you watch the rumours of who's returning at WrestleMania start flying rampant. We've already started to see it, that maybe Sting's not retiring, maybe Cesaro's back, maybe Cena's back, maybe Ron's back. Like they're all hinting at things, and they've got
confirmed appearances by Austin, The Rock, and Shawn Michaels,
and Foley.
So you've got those four guys. Surely they can't do what they did at 30, where they had Hogan come out, then they had Austin come out, then they had The Rock come out. I know you're not going to have Hogan there, but you know what I mean. They're not going to have them come out and cut a Legends promo and that be the end of the night for them. They surely have to do more with Austin in particular, in Texas.
In his home state.
I know Shawn Michaels in his home state too.
Yeah.
But Austin is the draw. Austin is the guy that if something's going to happen, if there's going to be a run-in, if there's going to be any kind of thing, it's got to be Austin. It's got to be Austin. It's going to make Mania just... If I see a stunner, I will fucking...
lose it.
I'll be that excited that the person in front of me will die because they will call...
Just so excited, just punch him in the back of the head or something.
A murderous stunner myself. If I see
That's amazing. Because you guys are going to be on hard camera too, so we're going to actually witness you killing someone.
We got our tickets through StubHub, and everyone did say to us that was the expensive way to do it.
Yeah.
But what it does do is guarantee that you can select where you want to sit.
Yeah.
So we selected literally first riser section as the camera's shooting the main camera angle of the ring. I dare say that we will be in a lot of those shots.
Yeah.
We're going to have a big ass B+ players,
yes,
which we are going to make.
So excited.
That needs to be made. And quick plug there. Thanks everyone for supporting this podcast, and not just the podcast, the group in general, because I've seen it grow since. I was in the group from, I'm going to say it was around the 30 mark. When we probably had around 30 people. And I just added a few people that I knew that liked wrestling, that Nick is one of them. But yeah, when I became an admin around the 100 mark, and I did say this at the start of the show, I didn't even think that I would be able to bring in the numbers that I brought in. But then when I added Leah, when Leah got added as an admin, that's a touchy subject, but when Leah got added as an admin, she just went and fucking revolutionised that shit.
She is our PR.
She is. Bumped us up to 200, and that's why she's the first lady of the admin circle. And
agreed. Like my phone, I have notifications on for that because I'm such a massive wrestling mark. And I get in trouble so much at work because I'm on my phone, like, looking at all the wrestling stuff. Like, it's blowing up. It's getting to the point where it's almost like a regular Facebook now, where you can't view something that everyone's posted immediately because there's so much to get to.
I mean, I had so many wrestling groups on my phone before I had the B+ players.
Yeah.
And then I've literally left them all. Yeah. Because I only like our page.
I only keep up to it. Yeah.
I like our page. It's like it's always got someone's always posting something. There's always questions that people are asking.
Agreed.
And it's great. Like I do really enjoy it. And I try and break as much news as I can as well. And it's it's really good. It's doing it's growing at a really good pace, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I will say something else that's a little bit off topic, but regarding the group, we did run our second poll as hashtag Wayne decided to tell me.
That's one of our admins. Hashtag Wayne.
That's admin. Shout out to Wayne. That it was the second poll that we've ever run, and it was what do you think is more likely to happen post Mania, or what would you like to see more, rather? What would you like to see more? And there was about 45 people that voted that I counted, and I did enjoy the trolls, Jared, of Geordie cashes in his money in the bank. That was fantastic.
That was great.
But I did find it interesting that the majority of people would rather see a brand extension than see Roman turn heel.
Yep.
Because I personally would like Roman to turn heel. The brand extension, I'm all for it. But if I had to vote out of the two, I would definitely say that I would prefer to see Roman turn heel, because you're creating a badass heel, and the company lacks a top heel, in my opinion.
Agreed, agreed. But that'll be something we'll have to leave for another episode. So we're going to try and hope to get these out once a week.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Mania season, that maybe not. I may just end up having the phone or whatever we're going to use to record maybe at Georgie's viewing party if he's doing one for Mania. Try and see if we can spot our two lovelies that we have here, Geordie and Leah, at Mania, which would be great. But so shout out to all you guys listening in. Once this goes up, whenever we get around to it, all that good business. And again, Twitter, YouTube, it's all up there. Just look for the B+ players. We'll be there. Yeah, you can.
I will
find us there.
Say one more thing quickly, just as we're doing our send off. Regarding our t-shirts, they are on the way, guys. We have had a hold up, just purely based on the fact that we had about 25 orders from memory. Yeah. And it was the reason why they got held up is because the person who makes the tees, like the supplier, they didn't supply 3XLs, so we had to go and get them cut through a different supplier. So that's fine. We're just slightly held up. We are hoping that personally we're able to send them out, but if not, we will definitely guarantee that you'll have them before Mania. I think that's definitely fair to say. Yeah. And Mikey's been pretty good with it all, just getting the printing done and organised. But he's been recording what's going to be a fucking sick album coming up with Our Past Days.
Shout out.
But yeah, shout out there too. Quick plug, cheap pop. But yeah, just that's it, guys. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope we've done all right in I'm going to say hour and a half.
Yeah, hour 37.
Maybe we'll try and make these shorter for you.
Who knows?
Look, I love to talk wrestling.
Yeah, we can do it all times.
But we're just gonna sign off, and thanks for tuning in. And trust me, these are gonna get a lot more professional.